Hey, beloved, we've got about a minute to go. Well, nope, it's 8 o'clock. Praise God. God bless you. This is Pastor Jackie Jackson. I thank you so much for joining me right down here in the man cave. I am your host, and I'm blessed to be with you. I am your knowledge junkie. I go out and I study it, try to bring it to you for what reason? So that you can be the smartest person in the room as it pertains to these topics that we cover. I might know it, not know everything, but I do know some things and I like bringing it to you. So I'm excited tonight. We've got some ground to cover for sure. And I'm not going to waste any time getting us to where we need to go. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. Hope we don't continue to do that kind of stuff. Oh, but here are the places where you can, and it's some of them, because we got 3 Facebook pages, Instagram. Want you to subscribe to Urban Apologetics channel on YouTube and give us all the likes that you possibly can. We are also all going towards our 13th year. Now I can put this up. Going towards our 13th year on the radio, and it has been a blessing, an absolute blessing. Got a few months to go. We'll be able to celebrate that, but we teach on a variety of topics and certainly want you to have an opportunity to check us out and get in on that. We also are on TikTok, and I needed to make that big like I have been doing to make sure that you can see that information. All right, again, thank you for being in the man cave. Thank you for being here with me. Can't waste any time tonight. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a barn burner. I haven't been giving you guys videos to kind of reinforce some of the things that I've been talking about, but we're going to do that tonight. What that also means, since we've got ground to cover, is I'm not going to be able to do a complete recap. I want to encourage you, please. Project 2025 1 and 2 are on YouTube, where you can go and get caught up, because what I've been showing you is a pattern, okay? That every single time there is black progress, there is a white response. And I took you all the way in the first video back to 1676. Now, that's not a racial statement. Now, I'm going to clear some of that stuff up in just a second so you understand my heart, because sometimes when you're just telling the story and people don't know who you really are, it can kind of go in the wrong direction. At least they're thinking, and their ears are shut off, and I don't want that to be the case, okay? It is important that you vote. I want to thank Mom and Dad Jackson for this card they gave me. You'll be seeing the front and back of this card about registering the vote. Shout out to Lincoln Heights Baptist Church as well. Listen, it is important, it is imperative that everybody gets out and you vote your conscience. Of course, there are some issues that we have going on that we've got to take a close look at, but you need to do that. I've used this verse in every video. 1 John chapter 3, verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. Right? Some of the treacherous things that I have seen through history. 1884, the Berlin Conference, when Africa was colonized, kind of all at once. When those kinds of things happened, it's kind of hard to look at that. It's kind of hard to look at slavery, the atrocities that have been committed around that. It's hard to look at it, and I have to pray. But I cannot allow hatred to exist in my heart, because my eternity is on the line. That's very important, and I want you to understand that that's where I'm at with this, okay? Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates his brother or sister, now this is for everybody in the direction that we're going in, is still in darkness. Anyone who loves their brother or sister loves the light, and there is nothing in them that makes them stumble. God is saying that when your heart is right, in order to truly love, you got to be close to him. And if your heart is close to him and you see things through his eyes, that really the devil is the culprit. When you see things through his eyes, that should help give you the ability to love everybody. When I was in mental health, one of the first things they taught me in 17 and a half years that I did it is you have to separate people from their behavior. Right? Meaning you can love them anyway. We'll work on that behavior, but that doesn't mean that I need to dislike you for any particular reason. So throughout history, getting down to it, if you understand where I'm at, white fear has created a response to any kind of black progress. Now, again, I'm trying not to get myself caught up into this because it's difficult, because I don't, beloved, want you to miss anything. I don't want you to misunderstand anything. So I want to go back through the history that's on the first two videos. I did too much of a recap, in my opinion, on the last one, trying to make sure that I don't cheat you. But it is important for you to understand how things have happened throughout history. And it doesn't matter what point in history, in American history, you look at, when there has been any kind of black progress, and there has been some phenomenal things that happened during Reconstruction, there has always been this white fear. And that's how we got the Klan. That's how we got lynchings. That's how we got school segregation. That's where the ghettos came from. That's why the rights, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, that's why those are acts in 1965 and 1964 and 65. Because it's restoring what was already there. Okay? Always been that negative response, and that's where we're at today, and it's going to make sense when I show you some other things. The Heritage Foundation came into existence in 1973. They are the people that helped Ronald Reagan, majorly helped Ronald Reagan become president in 1980. And they are the creators of Project 2025. They created it. With that in mind, there are certain things that they put in place based on their fear of losing supremacy that are going to change America as we know it. And here's the list. Here, let me make that a little clearer for you. I'm not going to read through it. I will be going back over it in just a little bit, but I want to get it up on the camera so later you can pause and take a look at it. It is on all of the other videos as well. They want to eliminate the Department of Education. They want to redo the Department of Justice. The Heritage Foundation has created a website. Project 2025 has a website that people right now can go and put in applications for future employment on the Justice Department. And basically there's a loyalty pledge in there. It's not just education and who you are and all those kind of things that you would normally think of a job. They need to make sure that you will be a sycophant. They want to make sure that you are going to be obedient to the things that they want to do, because they're going to put Trump in place as a dictator / king, emperor, whatever you want to call him. He said he's going to be a dictator on day one. So they want to revamp the Justice Department. That's what happens if we let them in. Okay? Equal opportunity employment, all of that's out the window. Teaching Black history in schools can create a situation where they will be defunded. Oh, I hope you're listening to me. This is no joke. Now listen, I encourage you, if you don't look at any other chapter, diversity and inclusion, equal opportunity employment, those things are in just read chapter 8, because it's a 922-page document, beloved. You might not want to read the whole thing. It's a 922-page document. But nevertheless, you know, you need to take a good look at it so that you understand for yourself. Just read chapter 18. Just read chapter 18. Where did this Make America Great Again come from? It was the campaign slogan of Ronald Reagan in 1980. As the Heritage Foundation is trying to bring him into office, Donald Trump just picked up on that same thought. These are buzzwords. When was America great? We've already talked about this. It was the 50s. The war is over. World War II is over. The middle class is being developed. They want a car in every driveway, meaning you got your own house, right? We're developing the middle class. And with all of that prosperity that did occur in the 50s, Black people had no rights. That's what make a great, that is exactly what Reagan was talking about. And that is exactly what people on the Trump campaign, that's what they're talking about. That's a fact. You can vote for whoever you want to. I'm just telling you what the story is. I'm just telling you what the truth is. And I could go through a whole series, and maybe I should do a video just on buzzwords. You know, not considering that you're ignorant and don't know any of them, but just on buzzwords. And you can see how they work and the effect that they've had. Ronald Reagan announced his presidency in the same place that Mississippi burning occurred. Why? Because in that speech of making America great again, he was basically telling white people, you're going to get more than we're going to get blacks. You're going to get less. That happened in the Civil War. That happened in 1676. That happened in the War of 1812 when the British tried to come back. It is the same game with middle class and poor people, making them feel like you're just going to be one rung above a black man. It's the same game. And it has worked every time. And based on the progress that we have already seen amongst black folks, they want to put it on steroids. We talked about abortion in our last time. We're almost to the new information. We talked about abortion in our last time together. That Margaret Sanger's goal was not for women's reproductive rights. Margaret Sanger's goal was to get rid of anybody that she considered to be undesirable. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change what I was going to do. The Negro Project. She even had conversations with the Klan. She sent a letter to one of her doctors, 1939, to get a colored doctor, get a black man in there, because that'll make people that are black feel more comfortable coming in. She wanted to get rid of all the undesirables. People with deformities, definitely a lot of black folks, anybody that wasn't like her. So as she's establishing Planned Parenthood, 79%. Now, you can see that on the screen, but I'm going to repeat it anyway before we get to this fresh information. 79% of abortion clinics, of Planned Parenthood offices, are within walking distance of minority neighborhoods. 60% are inside. It's a planned genocide. It's population control. It's population control. Let me show you this just in case you didn't see it in the last video, haven't seen it yet. I'm going to flash this up on the screen. What is this? Roe v. Wade in 1973 was put in place by Republicans, not Democrats. They were the ones that approved it. Okay? And the other piece that I gave you on this is that they were in the majority for years. Now, this number is wrong, where I'm saying 49 of the last 50 years, because I did this 2 years ago. They were campaigning on it. It was a campaign money maker. Some people, abortion is a one-vote issue. What I'm trying to tell you is they could have gotten rid of it anytime they wanted to, but they did not. Why? Got you given. They weren't on some moral crusade. See, they had to make it look like an uphill battle when they could have changed it anytime they wanted. As a matter of fact, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court says getting more Republicans hadn't changed anything. Why? Why propose something that's getting you campaign funds and getting you elected? Oh, you gotta do some reading. It's hard to wrap your head around that because it's been a part of why you have supported Republicans. And listen, I've said this before. My ballot is all over the place. I vote character and issues. So I'm not a Republican. I don't consider myself as a Democrat or an independent. I don't know what I am. A hybrid of something. So it's not me coming against the Republican Party. It's me telling you what the truth is and asking you to go look it up for yourself, because I promise you, I know this is going to sound arrogant, but I need to say this at this point because that is strong when you really think about it. It doesn't come out of my mouth if I can't back it up with at least 3 peer-reviewed, strong sources. I'm the Google, I ain't saying I'm not saying there's something wrong with Googling. I'm just saying that that's not my style. If I'm saying it, I've researched it in more than one place. And I'm telling you that that has been the case for years. So why did abortion go away? I don't know. Tell me why I predicted it 2 years before it happened. How would I even know that it was going to go away? Because it was when this report came out. When this report came out and said that by 2045, that white people would no longer be in the majority, I said abortion's gone. It's history. Why? Because they need white ladies to have their babies, right? In the last video, I just showed you a picture of a lady looking around the curtain. You've got to look behind the curtain. Abortion was originally created to do population control and kill black bodies, to make sure they never even came to the earth. When that didn't work and white ladies started using it as birth control, it was, and you know what, and this is not braggadocious. I want you to get this. I've heard a few people talk about it, that's what this really is. Well, more than just a few. And it's not a vindication that I was right. That's not the point. The point is that if you study these patterns, all the way back to 1676. Anytime you see black progress, if you know there's going to be fear. If you know that that's going to be there, then you know something's coming. And it's easier to predict. When that report came out, it wasn't hard to figure it out. What's going to happen with the courts and how, the Supreme Court and the number of justices we have that are on all of that, I can't tell you how I knew. I can I can tell you how I knew because of the patterns. I can't tell you exactly step by step how they were going to do it. I can just tell you that they would and for what reason, and I was right. And you can be too, beloved. You can, if we don't, silo our minds to think a particular way, but look outside the box and realize the things that are going on, we have a better chance of walking in love with one another because we can head off in prayer and in action the things that are happening. Let me show you something a little more recent. This is where you can find the article that I'm getting ready to show you. Okay, just wanted to get that on the screen. 1973, a study at U.S. General Accounting Office finds that 4 of 12 Indian Health Services regions sterilized 3,406 American Indian women without their permission between 1973 and 1976. The GAO finds that 36 women under age 21 were sterilized during the period, despite a court-ordered moratorium on sterilization of women younger than 21. It's hard to see. I got some little digits and things that I need up there so I can control this. It's already happened, right? It's Department of Justice that was telling you that it happened. But if we have a different Department of Justice, then we can bury it. Atrocities. Donald Trump getting in office is an existential threat to America as we know it. You may have voted Republican all your life, and that's your party. It's like being a fan of a baseball team. This is the way I go. And your main issue may have been abortion. Number one, you and I both on that issue have been played. Because I'm pro-life. So we've both been played. Right? Voted for Bush twice. Like, take that second one back. But, if we put Trump in place, we're going to have some problems that we've never had before. And some people are going to have those problems because they're voting against their own interests, trying to protect whiteness. Trump says he doesn't know anything about Project 2025. 31, and I saw this stat yesterday. I just couldn't put it up. 31 of 38 people that wrote it or in his administration or his transition team as he became president. I saw something that really expands that number, but I'm not gonna, but if it's true, it's a lot more than 38. But it doesn't matter. For him to say he doesn't know the people, it's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. Project 2025 leader, we are in the process of a second American revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. If anybody that doesn't agree with us stands in our way, the heck with democracy, this might become a blood-soaked revolution. Can you imagine 20, 30 years ago, maybe 15, somebody making a crazy statement like that out loud? Now, that's the Heritage Foundation. That's one of their leaders. Can you imagine if he said that years ago? They ran him out of town. Not that it's not the same organization, but you couldn't say those things out loud. Pastors weren't allowed to talk about politics, but that changed around Trump. That changed around his first presidency, And you have pastors like this guy saying, if you're a Democrat, I don't want you in my church, you baby butchering. I mean, just crazy. And if you think January 6th was something, you ain't seen nothing yet. Why? Because they want their way. And they're willing to be terrorists in order to make that happen. Oh, beloved, I hope you're listening tonight. Let's bathe this in some Bible and look at how God feels about this. If you claim to be in the light and you hate your brother or sister, you're in darkness. But the one who hates his brother or sister's in darkness and walks in darkness, he doesn't know where he's going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Can't see. Leading you, sometimes some of them from a pulpit. Oh, I've got a good friend that has gone astray and doesn't even realize it. Listening to this propaganda, listening to the narrative, and not understanding what this means. And it is amazing to me. Well, I guess I shouldn't be amazed, but you would think that people have been, the world, you've not watching enough just movies on deception or something that would give you a clue that these kinds of things happen, but people are still being easily deceived. And believing somehow that everything's going to be okay. We put these people that want to do Project 2025 on January 20th, on day one, we put them in charge that everything's going to be okay. And it won't. Because of the things that they're not saying the quiet part out loud. They're just saying it out loud. They're just saying it out loud that we want to tax cuts for the rich. We want to get rid of the Department of Education. We want to raise the age of retirement, basically making the haves and the have-not slaves. We want to defund schools that will teach. They put critical race theory on everything you can think of. We want to defund schools that do that. You have to register and take the test for the draft if you're in a public school, but in private school, you don't have to. Is anybody listening to me? My kids went to private school. But we know most black people do. So you fight your wars while we rule the world. You fight our wars, while we rule the world. But that's not God's plan. God's going to gather all of us together, and he sees us as one. There's only two races, beloved, believers and unbelievers. That's it. Here is another thing that they're afraid of. Christians become a minority by 2070. Well, that 2070 was used in something else too. Their population, that was the original report. Second one took it 25 years off in 3 years. Took 25 years off. That's what scared them. What's going to be the end result? Listen, if you don't want America to no longer have a Christian, if you want America to continue to have a Christian majority, then what you should do is evangelize. But that's not what's happening. We have fallen so far from God that America is a mission field. South Korea trains missionaries to come here. Oh, we think we're all that. They train missionaries to come here. There are other countries that train missionaries to come to North America to share the gospel because they can see we're off. And the reason that we're off is because we won't do this, which is God's way. And so instead of the people of Project 2025 who are calling themselves evangelical Christians, instead of evangelizing people, they want to legislate morality. National abortion ban, restrict IVF access, family separations, Muslim ban, cuts for the ultra wealthy, tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. Replace civil servants. That's what I was talking about with the Justice Department. Replace civil servants with loyalists. And so on and so on. Now I'm going to deal with that pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists. I'm going to deal with that in just a second. But I want to give you a little bit of history. This kind of thing has happened before. The book that's there on your left, I have right here with me. When I come back on camera, I'll show it to you. I have it right here with me. And it is that the Nazi Party, how they used America's racism to set up the Nazi Party, period, but how they used it to create their agenda against the Jews. Now, when their program against the Jews, when they first looked at us, they said we go too far. They weren't going to go that far. Now, when they ended up doing the final solution, that's when they started exterminating people and all of that. But their goal was, how do we still look good to the world while oppressing a group of people? How do we pull that off? And all you have to do is say the same thing over and over and over again. What they want to do with the Justice Department is the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. The Night of Long Knives, where all of the political opponents that were opposed to Hitler, some were even his friends. You look up a man by the name of Röhm, R-O-H-M is his last name. He was a friend of Hitler, stood together toe to toe. And Hitler might have been reluctant, but he still had him killed. All right? Now, as we're talking about white fear in this country, you need to understand that Trump is looking at doing the exact same thing. If you are his political enemy, if you're standing against anything he is trying to do, Project 2025 is designed to make sure that he gets retribution. You need to understand the state we're in, folks. That America is trying. I hope that this is something that just never happened in this election. I'm hoping it's something that just never happens. You know, we heard about it, and as the cover comes off, we realized how bad it could have been, but it ended up being something that just didn't happen. You know, it looked like it was going bad, but it didn't happen. We find out what some of the deeper plans were, or what was actually about to be put in action beyond what we can read in Project 25, but it's something that just didn't happen. You don't get higher tuition. You don't get public school tuition at all without the affirmative action, without the Civil Rights Act. You don't get that at all. In 1966, when Ronald Reagan started charging tuition, and it went across the country, and now it's 3,819% higher than it was. I mean, from 66 to 2019, so it's about 5 years off. So it's probably higher than that now. Certainly, college tuition didn't go down. What is the point? Every time there's black progress, there's a white response. You don't get Donald Trump without Barack Obama. They would have ran him out of town because it was just too blatant. There's no way. But because of the desperation of the situation, because this is major. This is the man who is the leader of the free world, and he's got brown skin. And so it created this, I don't know if I can find the right word for it, but it created like a void of it's not the right word. It created this threat, this fear, that now that this much progress has been made, we've got to do something. So somebody that radical stepping into that was able to stoke this unrealistic fear. Here, wait a minute, before I do that. Nah, I'm not going to do that. That's okay. That's all right. Maybe some other time. That diversity is code word for white genocide. No, it's not. It might be code word for harmony, us walking together in love. Can you imagine? I mean, the ghettos that were created that I described for you in 1880, those ghettos that were created, do you understand that as we have continued that system to this day, do you understand that the cure for cancer might be in there? Here, let me talk to my white brothers just for a second. You have a mother or father with cancer and they're dying. Is racism more important than allowing the use of what got us to the moon, the Hidden Figures and all that? Is racism enough that your parent might not survive, or you might not survive, or your spouse might not survive because you've convinced yourself that those people are less than? Come on. The cure for cancer, there are stories all throughout history that regardless of what has been done to the black man, he stepped up and still created things, still did great things for a nation that didn't appreciate it. I got to keep going because I got something I got to show you in real time that will blow you away. But what I'm saying is the reason to abolish the oppression and the ghettos and all of that is because something we all need may be in there. God didn't make one person superior to another. He didn't make one brain superior to another. One set of people superior to another. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? You shoot yourself in the foot by believing this kind of madness. Ran into this that, when I start, and I know it's the Lord, when I start studying along these lines, stuff just comes to me. It'll come. I mean, people. Thank God for my son. Thank God for my other friends and family members. My sister. Thank God for everybody that has sent me something. But there are things when I press into this, I guess it's my RAS, my reticular activating system, that's a part of it, the Holy Spirit, all of that are just all working together. Well, stuff starts coming. Well, this is one of them. There is a group that's called Black Flag. And they made a white minority song. And it is just ugly. I'm not suggesting you go and listen to it, but it lays out this fear. This fear of the world not looking like this. Somebody got to tell you. Project 2025 is birthed out of white fear. And they believe that Donald Trump, is their savior. I know that picture in the middle is funny, but I don't mean it as a part of humor. Niggas for Trump. That just, I don't even know what to do with that. Jesus is my savior. Trump is my president. They consider what they are doing and feeling to be patriotism. Let's watch this and talk on the other side.
If you want to love Trump, love him. Go to the rallies, buy the sneakers. You want to give him absolute power? You want him to be the leader uber alles? You want him to have the right of kings? You do you. But stop framing it as patriotism. Because the one thing you cannot say is that Donald Trump is following the tradition of the founders. He is advocating for complete and total presidential immunity. His words, not mine. That is monarchy shit. And it's your right to support it. But just do me a favor for historical accuracy. Next time you want to dress up at the rallies, wear the right colored coats. That's what you are.
Picture up on the far right says something about saving America. From who? Saving it from who? Let's watch this.
What I want to tell you as somebody who knew him very well and spent a lot of time with him is the worst things you have heard are only scratching the surface. This is an unprecedented moment that we are in. There has never been, now granted, we're some of the more vocal former Trump staffers, but he has been denounced by all of his most senior staff, something we've never seen in modern American history before. Multiple White House chiefs of staff, multiple secretaries of defense, his former national security advisor, his former White House communications director, people who saw him in the most important decision-making environments have spoken to the fact that he is unfit and that he poses a threat to democracy. And people need to wake up to that.
His own people don't want him. Many of them that have worked for him have looked at his decision making and don't want him in. Do you understand this man is already under probation? He can't get a visa. He can't travel abroad. He can't travel internationally to support us and may be going to jail. But the fire gets stoked anyway. Fear of the other. Fear of what may be coming. Fear of the loss of supremacy is what this is all about. And people are buying it left and right. I want to show you something. This picture isn't going to be as clear as I want, but I just want to come back on camera and look at you. No black circuit judges. No black ones. We have a Latino and an Asian. That's it. you got to look behind the curtain so that you understand exactly what's really, really going on, what's being set up, how the government as we know it will not exist any longer. You got to look behind the curtain. Now, I talked to you before about this. I'm going to do a quiz. Talked to you before about revisionist history. You either leave something out or you don't talk about it at all. So I've got a query for you, and I want you to ponder this. As a matter of fact, in the comment section, whether you are on Facebook, you see this on Instagram, if it's a short on TikTok, or specifically YouTube, in the comment section, I would like for you to answer this question. COVID-19 destroyed lives all over the world. If we had not found a vaccine, hundreds of millions of people could have died if we didn't have a vaccine. The desire is to get rid of the Department of Education so we can't teach Black history. There's already not enough of it being taught in schools. The real history, already not enough of it being taught. I'm trying to show you right now that in real time, there's information that's held back from you. So the question is, all these lives have been saved around the world. Who created the vaccine? Clue? She worked for Moderna. What is her name? Kizzmekia Corbett. When you control, she started working on it 6 years before COVID. Now, she was on a CNN town hall. But do you understand? This woman should be heralded across the globe for saving multiplied millions of lives. So if the narrative can be controlled now, and Project 2025 gets rid of the Department of Education, just think of how much more information will never be told. You don't not teach slavery and Black accomplishments. Oh my goodness. You know what? I did a series on the Reconstruction era. It's on YouTube. Watch it. Man, the names, one after another. More senators and congressmen than we have right now. Right now, 2024, more than we have now. We're going to state and federal positions. In the Senate, in the Congress. Are you listening to me? But we don't hear their names. We don't know their number. The number, I told you, I have a list. I have the numbers in a book that I showed you on one of the videos. I don't know if it was the last one or one before that. In this series, I've definitely done it in the books that I'm talking about, that gives you the sheer numbers of these people. And I tell you the story of what happened to them, how it changed, how Jim Crow came into power. And what I explained to you is I let you know these are the things that created the situation that we have today to keep you from even knowing those stories. It's not about don't want to teach slavery because it's going to make white kids feel bad. It's not about making anybody feel bad. It's about understanding this is what happened and we don't want it to happen again. But when you control the narrative, look at my time. I tell you, some people think that Trump is a clown. I don't agree with that. And I'm gonna tell you the reason I don't agree. What I know he doesn't read and won't take briefings when wouldn't take briefings when he was president. I understand all of that, but one thing that I am clear on is that he's smart enough to know if they repeat something enough times, it starts sounding like the truth. And when you have a whole network that has your back, it creates an issue. What I do think he is a malignant narcissist. Antisocial features, paranoid traits, egocentric, aggression. Other symptoms include absence of conscience. Certainly, we see all of that. And I think the reason the picture next there was to insult him. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. And based on the Supreme Court and some of the things that they've done, this is how a lot of people are seeing them. Do you know, and some of the word supreme is going to get cut off here. I apologize that this isn't as excellent as I want it to be. But are you aware of the fact that if you were following the news, there were people that were saying that the Supreme Court wasn't even going to hear Trump's immunity plea? Then there were people that said, well, the reason that they're holding on to it, since they are going to have a hearing on it, is they just want to delay things prior to the election so that it can't be used. No. They took it a whole step further and they gave the president immunity. So he can do retribution on his enemies. It basically puts him in this position. And once he's in that position, see what they want to do. A part of Project 2025 is to make, there are three branches of government. The executive branch, they want to take the executive branch and make it superior to the other two branches so that whatever Trump decides to do, there's nothing anybody can do to stop him because he has more authority than anybody else. This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't like people thought in 2016 he couldn't be elected. This has been done before by other governments. This playbook isn't anything that's new. But we have to vote to make sure that this doesn't happen. Take a look at this.
When Donald Trump won the election in 2016, fair and square, he said it was rigged. He won the Republican primaries. He said they were rigged. He ran for re-election in 2020. Before the election, he said it was rigged. Then when he lost the election, he said it was rigged. He does not like elections. He does not like voting as a system by which we decide who's going to be the president.
Yeah, right.
When he was running for re-election in 2020, the Republican Party decided they were no longer going to have a platform. They abolished their platform and said our new platform is whatever Donald Trump wants, we're for that.
That's right.
So if you don't stand for anything other than what he wants, you don't vote, you just put him in power.
Yeah.
And once he's there, nobody is allowed to disagree with him or say anything that he doesn't believe.
And what is that called?
That is what a lot of other countries all around the world have, and it is not democracy.
Right. Yeah.
And so he's trying to get rid of the American system of government, and that means getting rid of a government that does anything other than serve him, and that's what Project 2025 is all about.
This is this false belief. And that fire just gets stoked over and over and over again. Because this is what we want to create. I got to skip some stuff here. Otherwise we're gonna have to go again and see if I can finish this. I know an hour isn't a long time for something that's this crucial, but I try to keep these to about 45 minutes and I've gone way past that. Well, actually yeah. So let me flash some stuff up just so it's on the screen. Anytime you talk about this stuff, people will call it race baiting, and that's not what it is. We're just discussing truth. Critical race theory has been turned into meaning all kinds of things. It is taught at the graduate level of college. Everything else, the way they've just bastardized is the word that I need to use. The way they've done that has just created a hot mess, because it's not what it really is and what they're saying. It's just been gelled into everything that has to do with race, and it's not. But they've given it a bad name, telling, other things like DEI hire and all that. DEI means diversity and inclusion. It means that you've included somebody. It means that there's been fairness. It means that you are pursuing harmony, that you're teaching in your company and in your college what it means to embrace different cultures. DEI hire doesn't mean somebody that skipped a line. Just amazes me. I'm going to put this up just again so that it's there for you to see. All right. We had an insurrection. Our country, it is difficult for me, knowing history, understanding that these things can happen, but it's just difficult to wrap my head around the fact that something like this would happen, and then these people can even propose something darker, and people buying into it, which really speaks to the decay of our country. That a Confederate flag was never seen, that was never inside the Capitol building. We had a Civil War. A Confederate flag had never, but someone actually walks through, and there's more than one, but they actually have one inside the rotunda. And we're not bothered enough by that. And these people are being called patriots. Police officers died that day. There is a group, I don't want to give them too much press, called Stand in the Gap. These people are in support of the insurrectionists. There's a little piece here I'll put up on the screen, but I'm not going to read it. They have speakers there to set up for an upcoming event. They're asking Donald Trump to come. As far as I know, he hasn't confirmed at this point. But they want to support these families as they're going through these hard times when their relatives try to protect democracy. Are you kidding me? Project 2025 wants to throw out the Constitution. They want to get rid of it. The form of government that we currently have, that exists for us, will no longer exist, because they are making these people heroes and want them out. You think that there's killing in the... It's just going to get crazy. Because people will think they have impunity to do whatever it is they want to do. Are you with me? The George Floyd situation was horrible. This man lost his life, and we were able to watch it happen. It was filmed. Right? The police officer had 18 allegations against him prior to this. Sin grows. It definitely grows. But what was most encouraging for me is that there were times when there are these massive crowds that are protesting hate, that are protesting. And then sometimes in those crowds, I saw more white people than black. For the Heritage Foundation, for the creators of Project 2025, that is threatening. They want white supremacy. And I was just so proud of us that black folks and white folks were walking together, working together, looking to see things, carrying signs saying stop white supremacy. That's what that sign I showed you, white supremacy equals terrorism. That is from that period of time. With white hands holding up that sign. And the potential of that level of harmony is a threat to these people. And we can't let that be. We can't put them in office to do what they have planned to do. No, I don't agree with everything Kamala Harris does. I don't think that she's Captain America's female example. I'm not going to get everything that I want because I don't agree with everything that's on the platform. But I do want to continue democracy. I do want us to continue to have a constitution. I do want somebody that says the opposite of what Donald Trump said, which was, if you vote for me and I get in this time, you'll never have to vote again. That's what he said. But as I have been, and I'm closing this out, as I have been showing you these patterns, every time there is black progress, there is a white response. So what do you think is going to happen if Kamala Harris, if my pattern is right, since 1676 is right, what do you think is going to happen if a black female is elected president? Well, they've already told, the leaders of Project 2025 have already said it's going to be bloodless as long as we get what we want. There's more than one pastor saying if it doesn't go away January 6th, that's nothing. These people have been working on this thing for 4 years. They weren't prepared in Trump's first term, but they're ready now. They've been preparing this for 4 years. They're ready to go to make this happen, to strategically remove and set up the things necessary to make this happen. And you need to know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your vote in this election matters. It matters. And even though there's going to be a negative response, we can't let fear rule the day. We just need to be prepared. You need to understand these patterns, understand what's coming, and pray that there is a breakthrough, that our nation will truly be and live up to what it's supposed to be. A government for all the people. And that through that harmony, things will change for the better in every area of life, that prosperity can finally be what it should be for everyone and not just a few, but for everybody. We can cure diseases and create great inventions and all, because everybody has an opportunity to participate, and we're not suppressing any particular group so that one can be, as if God would create. That's what baffles me with Christians, as if God would, with white evangelical Christians, that God would create one group superior to another, and that by right, they should be in authority because they know best what's better, what's best for everybody. It's crazy. Well, I hope you've learned something, because it's my intent to teach you something. I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. I love you, beloved. Do the right thing. Get out and vote. Thank you so much for watching.